Hey everyone, welcome back to the Soundbyte. My name is Andrew, and today we're going to be jumping back into some Megadeth, checking out some of their stuff for their last album ever, the self-titled album, which will be released on January 23rd. I'm going to check out the latest single and music video for Let There Be Shred, which was just dropped recently. So I'm looking forward to this final Megadeth album because of the fact that I've been a fan for such a long time. I've been following their career, for I guess around probably the Countdown to Extinction album was probably when I first got into the band, and obviously I sort of went back from there. Rust in Peace is still one of my favorite albums ever. I think a lot of people will kind of agree with one of the pinnacle albums, really, But they've had a lot of great albums since then as well, But to be honest, it's been a bit of a hit and miss sometimes. Sometimes they've had some good albums, and other times it's been kind of average, But for the most part, I've always, stayed a fan. But so let's check this out anyway for their the latest video for Let There Be Shred. I'm gonna guess this is going to be a thrashy guitar frenzy attack of a video as a song, because like Megadeth are a thrash band, but they have sort of gone off to different tangents. But with the title like Let There Be Shred, it seems pretty self-explanatory, I think. But I don't know, we'll find out. Let's check it out. So Megadeth, Let There Be Shred. There we go. Old school. Sounds very old school. Big Rattlehead.
The stage has been lit. Get up on your feet. Heart start to pound. Everyone get off your seat. My feet are spontaneously combust into flames. Destroying pretenders, only ashes remain. On the day I was born, a guitar in my hands, the earth started rumbling, a thunderous command to bash and to thrash, to bang my head, to smash my guitar, let there be shred.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of shredding going on here, which is typical for Megadeth, really. Dave Mustaine and Timu, I guess, is the latest guitar player, and this will be the only album that he'll be appearing on, a Megadeth album. The old school sort of thrash sound is really kind of where Megadeth shine. It's kind of what they're known for. It's where they shine the best, I think, Although in saying that, they do have some cool sort of groovy rock stuff that they've done in the past, but which I've also liked as well. But there's nothing that can get past the thrash stuff, because the out of the big four, I've always felt like Megadeth were the sort of more guitar oriented sort of band. They were the band that kind of would show off their musical chops. They were the most musically and technically minded sort of band, whereas the other bands kind of had their own kind of personality and stuff in different ways. So Megadeth really had the sort of the guitar thing sort of down, and they were the best band to sort of do that kind of style. The video, it's all kind of very almost like a punky sort of feel with mixed in with a sort of almost cheesy sort of 80s action kung fu kind of thing, so there's some interesting sort of things going on in the video. But the song's cool. It's a sort of, like I said, it's got that very, very 80s sort of thrash sort of sound. I guess that sort of makes sense. I guess they're kind of, with the last album, they're kind of going back a little bit, to sort of where they started. It'd be interesting to see what the rest of the album actually offers as well, and whether it'll be a showcase of everything that Megadeth have done musically, or will it be kind of because the stuff that I've checked out so far with the singles that they've released is definitely got a bit of a more old school sort of approach, so I kind of feel like they're kind of going back to the beginning of Megadeth and why they do what they do.
Guitars are all screaming, they squeal with the
I believe that Dave Mustaine has like a black belt in karate or something like that, right? I think. Well, let me know in the comments if you know more about that.
On the day I was born, a guitar in my hands, the earth started rumbling, a thunderous command, to bash and to thrash, to bang my head, to smash my guitar, and let there be shred.
Slowing it down here.
At the end of the
Yeah, I believe that, like I said before, that I believe Dave Mustaine has like a black belt in karate or kung fu or some martial arts thing. So yeah, just let me know in the comments if you know more about that and whether that's true or not. But I believe it is. He's had it for a number of years now, so it's sort of one of the things that he sort of does. Yeah, that solo part, obviously, a real big chunk of the song, which is obviously in typical Megadeth fashion. A lot of the stuff is definitely more guitar oriented, you know, not so much the vocals or this and that kind of thing, you know. So, I'm loving the song so far. It's definitely got more of an old school approach, and I kind of feel like the video, it's kind of sort of all fits in together. There's a sort of certain theme, a sort of aesthetic about the whole thing that kind of ties in very well. So there's a certain sort of almost punky street kind of vibe going on there as well, you know, and that sort of explains the fighting aspect here as well, you know. It's just a shame that this band is kind of calling it quits, you know, because I kind of feel like they can still continue on and do more. But I did read somewhere that apparently there's some physical stuff going on with like Dave Mustaine wasn't sure how long he could continue playing guitar in the same way and stuff like that. So I sort of read about that recently, which was news to me, I guess. I know he's had some injuries in the past and stuff, which is one of the reasons that the band had sort of disbanded a number of years ago before they sort of came back together again. And but yeah, it's going to be a big one, you know, because like the slowly but surely the big four is slowly disappearing, you know. You know, after Megadeth and then Slayer, sort of calling it quits a few years ago, there's only Metallica and Anthrax. And while Anthrax are still touring and doing a lot of shows, they're not as musically active as far as like album releases. Metallica is still doing what they're doing, you know. They're really kind of the last one out of the whole lot that's kind of still being the same band that they've always been, touring, releasing new music, and doing all that great stuff that they do. So, but once they sort of call it quits, then it's like, who else takes the reign? You know, who's going to be the king of the metal world? And you know, many people have had that discussion. There's not really a lot of bands out there that kind of are willing or can really take that throne. I guess there's more of an even playing field, I guess, you know, especially with the way that the music industry is these days and the way that people sort of consume music, you know. There's no longer just sort of that one big sort of like band that kind of rules the roost, so to speak. Obviously Metallica and a few other bands have kind of held those reigns for a long time now, you know. So I guess it's time to pass the torch on to someone else. But who is going to be that someone else? That's going to be the big question, I guess. But anyway, let's finish this song off.
Guitar and let there be shred.
There you go, Megadeth, Let There Be Shred from their self-titled album. Looking forward to hearing this thing. This will be the final Megadeth album. Well, so I've been told. You know, obviously we've sort of, you know, heard this kind of stuff before from bands where they kind of call it quits and then they kind of come back a few years later. We know who they are. You know, I don't know. Like, it's just, you know, even Slayer did it. They sort of came back and started doing some shows again, but whether they're active again in the same way is another question. But I don't know. It's an interesting concept, I guess, to decide to call something that you've done your entire life quits, to end it. I guess you've got to have other things going on, you know, because you know, the idea of retirement to me just seems silly, you know, especially if you're already doing something that you love. You know, why would you just stop doing it because you're a certain age or whatever? You know, it makes no sense, you know. But you know, if you've got some other issues at hand, physical issues or mental issues or whatever it is, you know, that's preventing you from doing that, then fair enough, you know. So there you go. Megadeth, Let There Be Shred. Looking forward to the new album. So anyway, thank you for tuning in as always, and please subscribe if you haven't. And thank you to everyone who has been subscribed. It's been a fantastic, I guess 12 months since I sort of started the channel, and it's been great discovering all these great bands and sort of, you know, revisiting some bands that I've forgotten about and kind of still keeping in tune with the bands that I still love, you know, like your Megadeth and stuff, you know. So it's been great to sort of share this experience with you and to sort of have a discussion with everyone out there about what they like and what they, you know, everyone else should check it out as well, you know. So it's very, very cool to see that. Anyway, thank you for tuning in as always, and I will see you in the next video.